common things that we go through. So let's see, there we go. Okay. So we'll go over what to flip, some ideas on how to flip, what to flip, the DSCR structure and how you can use that for your benefit, permits and doing it the right way so you understand. That's something that we discussed before with Art and a few of us, how to actually do this the right way so that you're not stuck at the time of closing and have problems. How to flip a corporate rental, and that was what our biggest topic is, wholesaling. And just so you know that, how to work that, and we can talk about it a little bit afterwards. So what to flip? So there are a few different ideas on the few different ways that you can really benefit from flipping the properties. Right now, obviously, it's a buyer's market. It's a little bit easier. We're not really getting down to the 60 cents to the dollar yet. We're getting close. And it's really a waiting game right now. So a lot of us are buying a property, say, we'll put an offer in for the wholesaling side for flipping. We'll put an offer in and it's say 500,000. We put it in at 300,000 and they're like, no, that's never going to happen. And then we wait. We say, hey, you've been on the market for 6 months. Have you thought about my offer? Would you go with 400,000 and see if they bite? And then if they don't there either, you wait a little bit longer and then you put in a little bit higher offer. So it's kind of, you're going at different angles, but it's a waiting game to get the homes down to 60 cents to the dollar. While you're doing this, also the appraised values are going down too as well because things are sitting longer. People are taking hits on their properties, which makes the comparable properties lower as well. So you definitely want to take account of that as you're doing these flips. So what you want to look for is properties that people are willing to sell at 60 or 70 cents to the dollar, and you're taking that gap. The other great one is the extra land parcel. So finding properties, we have one in our portfolio right now. It's in Seminole Heights for 289, and it's a 2-bedroom. It's a little home on the very far right of the property, and you have a huge lot to the left. So you're able to parcel this off. Say you bought it for 289, you parcel it off, you sell the land at say $50,000, $70,000. Now you have that 60 cents to the dollar if you go and resell the actual structure. So that's a great way of gaining that equity quickly. So that's a good tactic. The other one is rehabbing ADUs or garages. So another one that we have on the market, same area, same price, has a ADU or garage detached, and you can go in and you want to find them if you're looking for these properties, and especially if you find them as assumables or some of these properties in Pinellas. Find these properties that have a garage that maybe is already insulated, already has electric, already has water to it or a bathroom. And then you can go ahead, get it permitted and change that into an ADU. Now you're making a larger amount of income. If you're renting this out, it'll appraise higher and then you can sell it for higher. So looking for those specific tactics when you're buying is a good idea. And then bringing it into the corporate rental potential. So with this one, I'm going to go over how to structure the corporate rental for a flip. And I've done this a few times in the past. Flipping a corporate rental, you can benefit at least 2 times what you buy it for within 9 months, and sometimes 3 times. So that's a great option of doing it as well. So how do you buy it? So there's a few things you can do. Before, it was finding bridge loans. We always found the bridge loans. The bridge loans would go for just as long as you needed construction. And if you buy a property that cannot be appraised, the value is too low, or it's unfinished, you can still do the bridge loan. We have contacts for you there. Usually those are at 12% right now. But the minute you have the rehab done, you can go into this DSCR loan. And if you have a property that's almost there, it is finished, and you can go ahead and get the DSCR loan, I highly recommend that. Because at that point, you can go ahead and get a 7%, 6-7% interest, or, depending on the market, right now it could be 8, could be shooting up a little bit, but it's still very, very close. It's a lot better than the 12-month or 12% interest. what's nice about the bridge loan is it's 12% interest, but you're only doing it for say 6 months. So it is a higher rate. You're only paying interest on a bridge loan for that, say 6 months, but it is a higher interest. So when you do close out, it's going to be a lot of income. If you do the DSCR loan right off the bat, then you're set to go. This one, the DSCR loan, I know we talked about it a few times. It's based off of rents. So you don't have to worry so much about your income. They're using the collateral from the property itself and the income that you're receiving from that property. Usually, you can set it up at 30% fixed. So it's a great program for what you're doing. Yes, it's 30% or 30-year fixed. You're going to be selling it as soon as you can if you're flipping it, but that's a great way to set up these loans. So you buy it, you go ahead and do a DSCR loan, you rehab it, and then you're looking at selling it. So I'm going to go into as you're rehabbing it. So you say you get the DSCR loan, now you're looking at rehabbing it. Make sure you get your permits. So there's a few ways of doing this. I know we had a discussion not too long ago with a few of our agents that are flipping them themselves. Now, if you're flipping them yourself, you own the property and it's a single family residence. You own it. You've homesteaded this property. You can pull your own permits. But if you're buying it and it's your second home, I believe in the second home you still can. Is that right, Art? If it's your second home, you can still pull your permits. I'll double check on that. But if you're buying it as an investment property, you're doing a DSCR loan, then you need to have a contractor pull the permits. There's a few different ways of doing it. We work with contractors that help with getting the permit started. They handle all the stuff that is required for them to finish that permit, but you can handle all the other stuff that, all the cosmetic stuff, some of the little things in the house, but make sure you pull the permit. And a lot of people skip on this because it saves maybe $1,000, $2,000 in the long run. It could be a lot more than that if you need to get engineering permits, engineering set up. But if you go ahead and get that done, then when you're ready to close, you don't have a problem with closing. Because what's going to happen, and we've had this just recently on a property out in, we picked it up after the fact. This wasn't one of our projects, but they are trying to sell a property out on the beach. They bought the property and they bought it with the permits closed for just the remediation, because all they did was cut out the sheetrock, cut everything out, and they had that permit. That permit was closed. Well, the new owners bought it. They went in. They're very new. It's the first investment property they ever did. They went in and they did everything: electrical, new plumbing, new sheetrock, new everything. No permits pulled. Not one pulled. And then they go to close. They're ready to sell the property, and the agent, we were sitting there going, well, we need to see the permits because otherwise we can't close on the property. They're like, we never pulled any permits. Well, we're stuck. So if that does happen to you, if you have a property that has that happen, we do have a contractor that will do after the fact permits. He does come back and fix the problem. There's always, don't run away from it. We can fix it, but that is unsellable if the permits are open. It leaves it so there's not a clear title. You're going to get 60 cents to the dollar for something you just bought. So you want to make sure that you do that correctly. And then always permit the ADU, because what we're finding especially is, say we're going ahead and we're renting out these properties as a corporate rental to show the income. And if the ADU or the garage conversion isn't permitted, the state will actually come down on you and they will make sure that the property is removed off MLS and as an ADU or a duplex or however you'd like to list it, that will be removed, and it's actually going to be sold as a single family residence, which reduces your income or the value of the home. So just making sure you get those permits correct, make sure you're doing them appropriately, and that will help you sell in the long run. Because if you saving $1,000 or $2,000 in the beginning, in the long run, it's going to be a huge deficit on the sell of that property. It can go down 10, 20, 30,000 when you're still trying to close out permits. So Just a thought there. So we're going to go to the next step. So you've looked at the property, you found the property, you have purchased it with either a bridge loan or a DSCR loan. And then we go ahead and we get the permits, we do any rehabbing.
Parker.
Does somebody have their mic open? Let me see if I can. There we go. Okay. Um, so then we go back to, we finished all this. We've got the loan program set up, but now we want to go and we want to set it up for the highest amount of income you can get. So the same property that I was talking about, the didn't pull permits, they had our contractor come out. And within 2 weeks, I did not think it would be this quick because it's out on the beach in a flooded area. Within 2 weeks, they got the permits completed, got the red tag off the door. We're ready to move forward. We went ahead and furnished it. And it usually takes about 2 weeks to get the full furnishing done. We try to do as quick as possible. We do it in house. So if you ever have a property that is needing just partial furnishing or full furnishing, we come in, we have a team that does consignment furnishings. So it's not expensive. I've seen 3 bedrooms up to 20, 25,000, and it's beautiful. It looks great. It rents maybe a little bit higher, but the return on investment is a lot lower. So it's hard to recoup, especially if you're going to sell it right away, to go and put $25,000 into furnishings, beautiful, nice furnishings, rent it out, and then you try to sell it. It's hard to recoup that income. But if you're trying to get the maximum, we do have retail furnishing companies as well. So if you're wanting to get the max luxury, we can do that too. But usually a 3 bedroom runs around about 9,000 to get it completed. And it's just fully furnished from utensils all the way to linens and beds and everything, TVs, everything included. We do not require we do not require to have the payment for these rentals at the time of furnishing. So we can take it from the first few months of rents. So if you have a client that is looking to move forward with a corporate rental, but they don't want to it's hard for them to put 9,000 down out of their pocket, we can go in and furnish it and take it from the first few months rents. And then once you have it furnished, you have it set up, we rent it. So for this one over here, this is one of their strategies. They may keep it if it's good and they feel comfortable with it. But the next step is to rent it for 6 to 9 months, get that income, because that's typical for what the DSCR is looking for. And then we go ahead and sell it. So I'm going to show you how to sell. And these are the terms you need to use when you're selling a corporate rental. So you can either sell it, you can use it, and I guess basically think of it as a business. A lot of people sell a corporate rental, and it's a great opportunity for you. That's another great strategy, to buy a corporate rental that's out there, or Airbnb business, that is undervalued, because people that are selling their Airbnb business, they sometimes do not account for their profit loss, their business, the income that they're actually getting from the property. So say you have a $300,000 house that's appraised for comparable properties as a single family residence at 300,000, you pick up that Airbnb business, but you're actually making around 5,000 a month. Then you get a gross rent multiplier appraisal, not just a regular appraisal. You get a gross rent multiplier appraisal, and you need to ask for that specific appraisal with your appraiser. They go off of the gross rents. So if you're renting it out for 5,000 a month, they're going to take 70% of 5,000 a month. So now you've just gained $100,000. Instead of selling it for 300,000, you can sell it for 4. So it's a great opportunity, and I'm going to show you here. This is one of the properties that we did not too long ago. We had so this is how the gross rent multiplier works. So you have the fair market value, 400,000, and annual gross income, and you put that down on the bottom. And the number is between 4 and 6 on average. Actually, it's higher now, so it's usually 4 to 7. So say 6.7, and you're actually able to get a higher value. So here's a better example. There's one that was done in Clearwater. I've used this one for a while. This one happened a little bit ago. So this property was purchased at 155. It was actually purchased at 128, and they did 30,000 in rehab. So they did just touch ups, everything on this house. There was a lot of different things because we did it, so I know the story on this one. It's kind of fun. So they rehabbed it. They got it set up. They got a traditional appraisal at 230, and that was before we were selling it. We had a traditional appraisal completed, so we knew what it was worth. We did the comps in the area. That's all we could find. I mean, that's the highest we possibly could get from the appraisal. But we were renting it out at 3,800 in the front and 1,200 in a back unit, a little suite in the back unit. When we went to sell it, we asked for the gross rent multiplier, and it ended up at 400,000 was the appraised value. So almost doubled our value just by asking the appraiser to do a gross rent multiplier. So this is one of the best strategies that I've found in investing. I know that 60 cents to the dollar, 70 cents to the dollar. I mean, that's pretty traditional to flip a home. And then you can use the ADUs, the extra lots, but any of those, you want to try to get the highest rents. So you furnish it. Yes, that is a little extra cost, but you go ahead and furnish it, get it renting. So now you're making an income for, say, 6 to 9 months on this property. So you want to make sure you can hold it, and then you can sell it for almost double the money. So say you want to flip, or say you want to wholesale a property. This is the next phase if you want to do it this way. So now you don't want to hold it, you don't want to rehab it. You're just taking this property and you are going to, and how many people, I don't know, have you guys already wholesaled before? Kristen, Art, Allison, anybody on here? Have you guys already wholesaled property? I see somebody shaking their head. No. So so
Yeah,
we'll
we
just go over. You have, okay. And so I'm just going to go over the basic steps on this. And this is a great way to just make quick income basically, but you need to make sure that you're on top of this. You need to clear your schedule out to make sure that you are not going to mess up on this process. So you find a property, say you find it for you find a property that has good value, say it's worth 300,000, but the owner is he's just got to go. He's not selling it for 300,000. It's going to take a little bit of work, maybe a little cleaning up to do, but you're going to go ahead and say, okay, I'll buy it for 300. I'll buy it for 200,000 to get you out of this mess. You may have a pre-foreclosure on the line, things like that. So you're in pre-foreclosure. Let's just go ahead and close this at 200,000, get you out of this mess. And they go and they agree to 200,000. The next step is to go and find a buyer. So you sign this agreement, and one step you want to do is you want to try to get the longest amount of time on the inspection period so that you can go find your buyer. So usually you're going to see a 15-day inspection period. You're going to have on the contract that it's assignable, and you're going to go try to find one. What you want to do is set up some times where you can go show the property all at once. So say you have 4 or 5 buyers, bring them all together, show the property. The best properties you can find are if they are vacant, because then you can have more access to these properties. But now you find that buyer, all you have to do is sign the contract and you collect the fee. So say you found a property that you thought was worth 300,000, you buy it for 200,000, and you end up selling it for, say, 250. That in between, minus any closing costs, you are going to collect. So you're going to collect that $50,000. Say it's $30,000 with all the fees or things like that. One way to reduce your fees, and this is something we talked about before, is you can do it where you have a double closing is the highest expense. So you double close and you have about 5,000 on each side, or you can do a same day closing and they see how much you're making. So the buyer's going to see that you just bought it for 200,000, you're selling it for 250. So they're going to see that. Emotionally, the buyer and the seller, they're not really that happy. There's one other way, and that's the third way, and that is to have a blind closing. So the HUD, the buyer only sees the side of the buyer on the HUD, and the seller only sees the seller side on the HUD. It's called a blind closing, and Closed Title does this. Completely legal, but that way, emotionally, they do not see how much the seller bought it for, and the seller doesn't see how much you bought it for. So it's a great way to kind of bridge that gap there. So there's a lot of different things with wholesaling. If you guys want to do wholesaling, you've already done it. If any of the agents would like to do it in the future, this is something that we'll do another course on, because we'll go through the steps and the agreements and things like that. That's another way to flip a property. So let's discuss. So do you guys have any questions on how and what the benefits are of trying to sell or flip a corporate rental? Or have you had any other experiences? Art, I know you've done this a bunch. Do you have any experiences you guys want to share on, especially with the flooded homes and things like that?
Well, we recently put our house that we remodeled into we were able to get a long-term
Mhm.
renter out of it. We were worried, with discussion with you about
Yeah.
occupancy because it was by the beach and only allowed a 3-month rental. So we went
Hmm.
ahead and put it on long-term rental, and we're not thrilled because we're not making as much money as we would, but the tax benefits are tremendous. And then I think there's a lot to be said for making sure you do your homework about what the rental restrictions are for that area. I'm kind of challenged with that a little bit lately because I'm trying to help somebody find an Airbnb, and I'm not knowing as much as I might know about counseling for what areas are appropriate. So
Yeah.
anyway, so that's Kristen and I's experience.
Nadia.
Yeah.
Also, just to touch on what you asked about, the homestead and then the secondary house. I don't know if this has to do with like counties. If you buy, maybe a second home in a county, if you could homestead it. But we ran into a problem with Dunedin because whenever we had the first house homestead, and then we rehabbed it ourselves as an owner, builder, and then bought the second one and put us as the owner. Then Dunedin found out and said, no, you can't have two. And so that's
Mm.
whenever we got with uh, your contractor that you said
Hmm.
fixes those issues. And then we got him and then changed the first one that we did as the contractor. And then we're
Okay.
able to, on the second one, then wait, Art, was that the other way, right?
It didn't really come down to the homestead. It had to do with it. They wouldn't give us two owner builder contracts permits, in the same year, because you're not supposed to, if you do an owner builder permit, you're not supposed to sell it or rent it for a year. So then they said, well, if you get another contractor to come in and pull the permits, then you'll be okay. So we paid Pablo $3,500, but at least we were able to, to go ahead and put a renter in our house within a year, sooner than a year.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we didn't know if maybe like say if we instead of buying the second house in Dunedin, if maybe we bought it, in Tampa, if that would have made any difference, because Dunedin knew kind of like the situation, and I think they're kind of smaller, and so they watch out for stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Still
it
a
could
Florida
be.
law that says you're not supposed to rent or sell within a year if you don't pull, unless if you do your own permits. So you want to get
Okay.
someone like Pablo to help you with the permits, and then you can do a lot of the work yourself under his license.
Yeah. And and we want to make sure that yeah, he make sure it's legal, only the stuff that you're allowed to do, and wink wink stuff. Okay.
But mainly, if you're going to pull the permits yourself, you got to not. So we didn't plan on renting it out within a year. We were planning on living there for 3 or 4 years, but that really threw a wrench in our plans. So
Hmm. Yep. Gotcha. So it's not so much, I'm wondering if it is, say you living in a house and then you go ahead and get a second home. If you're allowed to pull permits, that's something I'll check on. I'll put that on the comments on the video so we can review it and remember it. But what you're saying is, yeah, you can't pull permits on basically two homes because they're figuring you're going to flip it, and they want to make sure that you're not getting you're going to have to pay your taxes,
And
is
they're
what they're basically.
really aggressive about it, so.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I was showing you here. This is how we have, and on our agent portal, I have under the documents, you can go to them and you can get all the ones that we have found. But if you want to look for it really quickly, I usually put the county, like say Pinellas County short-term rental regulations, and most of them have a program now already set up. So it explains how it works, what the process is, everything included in it. So you can have it on the left side, it's code enforcement, everything that's included in it. But say you guys were looking at, say, Hillsborough County regulations. So you come here, it usually will go through, I like to find the ones that are set up under, and also Airbnb, they do have some help for the Florida as well. They'll give you some information on it. But the city of Tampa, so you can kind of go through and get the basic setup. It says any property rented less than 30 days or more than 3 times a year must be licensed. So that's the main thing with Hillsborough County. And making sure that you have the license. And like I was saying before, we do work with a company that does the sale tax for you because yes, it is going to be a little bit higher because you're going to be less than six months rentals. Like that's a cutoff, 6 or 7 months. And so if it is under the 6 months, then it is required to pay the 6% sales tax. And they want to make sure that they're going to receive it. So they make you required to get a license. But they're saying anything less than 30 days, you need to get a license in the city, in the Hillsborough County. You can rent it out for 7 days. Once every 7 days is a requirement. So really just jumping on these, but if you go to the agent portal and log in, you can go to libraries, document libraries. And in here, it's under marketing. So under marketing, you can go in here and you'll get access to the Google Drive and you can get it. So it'll be under marketing because that's where you're going to be looking for the permits. So what permits are required for what location? Like I was saying, Indian Rocks Beach, this one is great for us. Indian Rocks Beach, and it does the same thing. So anything less than 30 days, they need to have a license. But they have it all set up. We do help the landlords with the license. And as you go through this, it goes through what is required. We have to get the fire department out there. There's a lot of different things that you need to do. But just going to their information, they usually, each borough has an information packet that will go through what the ordinance is. Like here's a great one with the ordinance, and you can read through this. And this sets up what is required, what's allowed, what's not allowed. So you can see exactly what your limits are. But again, go to our agent portal and you'll be able to access most of them. There might be a few, and if you're missing any of the counties, just let me know and I'll find that for you and set that up. And there's a lot of them that are easy. You can search here, and I'm just telling you this so that if you want to, you can search and get the information. But you can go to our website, so it's a little bit easier for you to find. So that's, and exactly like what you said, same thing is making sure that the permits are good. One other thing before we jump off, if you do have a client, and I know Art was talking about this a little bit as well, he has a client with the short-term rentals and he's trying to talk to them about what we do and what we don't do. You can go to our website and you can go to the corporate rentals and on the top, and it tells you a little bit about what we can do, and also about the consignment furnishings. It shows what the consignment furnishings we've done in the past, how we set them up. Usually our team sets it up per location. If it's beachy or near a yacht club, it's going to be more boaty, things like that. And then also these are the things that our company does, where we set up the consignment furnishings. We do the photos and the droning, video walkthrough. We set up the packets for each property, the welcome packets for the tenants, and also the owner packets, so they know what the income is, property videos, instructions, things like that. So all of this stuff you can link right from our website. So Art, when you're talking to that client, you can go here and show them what we can do for them to set it up, because I'm finding that we're doing a lot more short-term rental throw-ins, but we still are the larger ones that we do, like say a month to 3 months, those are higher occupancy and a higher ROI. So we want those, and still we work with thousands of clients that, since we've been working since 2004 period, we picked up a lot of different clients from insurance companies and traveling nurses or professional athletes, where they come back to us each year. And we fill them in with the longer terms, but say there's a month in between, we're going to throw in, whatever has the highest occupancy and the highest rate. So we'll throw in, say, maybe 2 to 3 weeks of those short-term weekly rentals, maybe a few nightly stays, just to make sure the occupancy is high until your next tenant moves in. So we do nightly and we do monthly. We do have a long-term tenants as well. We do work with long-term tenants. We have a few in our portfolio, and you can show them this from our website as well. This kind of goes over it. The monthly fee is 12, but it shows what we do with the property management. I've worked for property management companies before, and we had one with our prior company, and they had a different division. And there's a lot of property management companies that will charge 10% or sometimes even lower, and you get what you pay for. Nobody comes to the property. You show up, there's trash everywhere if it's a C or D property. So our method is we want to make sure that the properties are set up, and we do quarterly inspections. We do air filter changes. So we're trying to be more boots on the ground so that we are there to make sure your investment, your client's investment, is an asset and it doesn't keep depreciating. It can keep growing. So just to let you know, you have those options on our website to help you do sales as well. But yeah, so
One
that's
question,
a little bit.
Nadia.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. So, whenever you touched on the corporate rental flips and kind of the
Uh-huh.
information there, and then the consignment furniture,
Yeah.
is that where you would buy the furniture from, like a consignment store, correct? Based on how kind of the
Yes.
house, kind of, what the best options are,
Yeah.
and then rent it for the 6 to 9 months, and then you sell it with the furniture as is, correct? Because it's a business at that point that you're selling, correct?
Yeah, you're selling it as a business. So you're going to find, because say you're selling it without the furniture, they're not able to keep the business going. So you would not get the gross rent multiplier. So, but if you're
Okay.
selling it, yeah, you're selling it with the furniture, you're using the gross rent multiplier because the next owner is going to use it for the same business, the same structure.
And that's something you could ask an appraiser to do. Just,
Yeah.
hey, this is kind of what, I'm looking for, and tell them specifically that.
Yes, exactly. And so what's nice about a gross rent multiplier appraisal is that you can go in and you're talking to your appraiser, and it's a lot easier for him. If you go in and you show him and you have 6 to 9 months of your profit and loss and your actual rent rolls, you show that to the appraiser, he can go and just do the calculation instead of having to go out and search for properties with comparable properties. So appraisers actually like this process better. It's a lot quicker for them. But you have to be specific. Otherwise, they're going to look at the property and think, oh, this is the homeowner's furniture. And then they're just going to go for comparable properties. And I would have on that Clearwater property got an appraisal at 230 and it would have sold at 230. So we had to explain we want a gross rent multiplier, and we have appraisers that do this. So if you're looking at selling one of these, you can use one of our appraisers.
Nice.
It's on
That's what I
the
was going to ask.
yeah, and that way they already know how to do it. They've worked with businesses and they already have worked with our rent rolls, things like that. So
Very cool.
when you're selling it, you are going to find those flippers that are going to come in and say, no, I'm looking for comps. I don't see the comps. This is not working the numbers. And you can explain to them that we want to use the gross rent multiplier because yes, you are looking at a 230 appraisal, but you're not going to sell it this way. That's not the best exit strategy. The best exit strategy for this property is to be renting it out because you can rent it out for say $5,000 a month, and to buy it for 230, the seller might as well keep it if you're going to sell it for 230. So you tell them, no, we're going to be selling it with the gross rent multiplier, and usually that stops them from giving you the low ball offers. And if they're serious, they would come in and do that strategy. But if they're just going to come in, tear out all the furniture and clean it up a little bit and resell it for say 260, then that's not the best exit strategy for that property. You've already have it set up as a business, sell it as a business.
I love it.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a little bit about it. I'm going to go ahead and this is 45 minutes, so I think that's pretty late. And just let me know if you guys have any questions on this, but I think this is a great strategy. We're going to do another one that we'll do on actually wholesaling, which is a whole nother animal in itself. You don't really even need to have a real estate license, but if you know how to do it and you're doing it for yourself, you could make a good amount of income to keep moving things along. So that'll be one of our next classes. But next week, next Tuesday, if we could have everybody here, all of our agents, because we're going to do the meet the team. We have our title company, we have our lender, we have everybody that we work with very closely. It's going to come on and just say hi, talk to us a little bit, so you guys know them face to face, even though it's Zoom to Zoom. And you'll see them at some of our get-togethers. But this will be a great opportunity for you to meet everybody. And I'll try to get that appraiser there too, so that we can meet everybody and know everybody that's on our team, so that you don't feel when you're going out there selling these properties, you know you have these people behind you. You have Pablo on the permits. You have our appraiser to make sure they do the right appraisal with the gross rent multiplier. Make sure that you have that team behind you so that it's a success. Because if you don't have the appraiser behind you, that's the difference between 230,000 and 400,000. That's a big difference. And just knowing that you have the people behind you to make the right choices, do the right exit strategy, that makes you a lot of income. So next week it'd be great. We all can meet together, talk to each other, so we all know, and you'll know how to talk to them. If you see them, they usually work better. You have a personal relationship with them. So, alrighty, I'll let you guys go. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know.
Thanks, Nadia.
Yeah. Thank you, Nadia. Have a great day. Thank you. Great job.
Yep, you too. We'll talk to you soon.